I need you to understand something before I tell you this story. I've ridden that bus line my whole life, hundreds of times. I know the drivers' names. I know which seat has the busted spring. I know which streetlight outside the depot flickers on and off like it's breathing. I know that route better than I know my own street, which is exactly why I noticed, immediately, that something was wrong that night. Not wrong like a flat tire. Not wrong like a delay. Wrong like. I got on a bus with 6 other people, and by the time we crossed the county line, only one of them was real. It was the last run out of the Millhaven Depot, the 1040, the one that cuts through Route 9 down through Danvers, Coles Corner, and out toward the interstate. If you've ever lived in a small town, you know the last bus of the night has a different feeling to it. The overhead lights buzz a little louder. The building empties out until it's just you, a couple of strangers, and the vending machine humming in the corner. I was closing up late at the hardware store. It was the week before Thanksgiving, so we'd been slammed, and I just about missed my usual bus. I came jogging into the depot right as they called it over the intercom. Last call, Route 9 service to the interstate, now boarding at Bay 3. I remember thinking the platform looked emptier than it should have. Last bus of the night usually pulls a decent crowd, people coming off late shifts, a few college kids. That night I could count the passengers on one hand. I climbed on and took my seat, second from the back, on the right, my usual spot for 11 years running. I set my bag down, then stepped back off to wait by the door, since the driver still hadn't come out to do his walk around. That's when I saw her. She was sitting alone on the bench just outside the depot doors, half swallowed by the shadow where the lot's floodlight kept flickering. On, off, on, off. I only caught her face in the flashes. Green coat, dark lipstick, almost black in that light. And she was looking directly at me, not glancing, not people watching, at me, like she'd been waiting for me to notice. I turned around, thinking maybe someone was standing behind me and I was flattering myself. Nobody there, just empty platform. I told myself she was just tired, spaced out, staring at nothing in particular. You know how your eyes glaze over at that hour? I shook it off, grabbed a bottle of water from the machine because my mouth had gone dry. And I want to be honest with you, I don't think that was really thirst. I think that was fear, and I just didn't want to call it that yet. When I climbed back onto the bus, my stomach dropped. She was in the seat next to mine. I hadn't seen her get on. I hadn't heard the aisle creak, but there she was, green coat, hands folded in her lap, staring straight ahead like she'd been sitting there the entire time. Up close, her eyes were wrong. Too wide, too still, like she'd forgotten how blinking worked. I told myself, fine, coincidence. Buses fill up from the back sometimes. I sat down, plugged in my headphones, and stared hard out the window so I wouldn't have to look at her. The driver came down the aisle checking tickets. When he got to us, he took mine, glanced at it, handed it back, and moved on. He never asked for hers. I told myself he must have caught her earlier. People miss things at the end of a long shift. I let it go. What was I going to do? Make a scene over a stranger's bus ticket? But some small animal part of my brain filed it away as wrong, and it wouldn't stop pacing back and forth in there. Somewhere past Danvers, the driver killed the interior lights to keep the glare off the windshield. That's normal for the late run. But now the only light in that bus was the passing gleam of the road markers. And every time one swept past, I caught her reflection in the dark window glass. Turned toward me, that same still, wide-eyed stare. Even though when I looked at her directly, she was facing forward. I closed my eyes. Told myself I'd just rest them a second. I don't know how long I was out. Long enough that the music had stopped playing in my headphones. The battery must have died. And when I finally blinked awake, groggy, disoriented in that specific way you only get when you fall asleep somewhere unfamiliar, I wasn't in my seat. I was sitting in hers. My hands went cold. I looked down at myself like I could somehow confirm I was still in my own body. My seat, my actual seat, was right there, empty, a foot to my left. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember moving at all. I got up so fast I nearly went down in the aisle, and I half walked, half stumbled up toward the front of the bus, past 3 empty rows, until I dropped into a seat near an elderly man who'd been dozing against the window. I didn't care that it was a stranger's space. I just needed a body between me and her. Stop by, stop. The bus kept emptying. A woman got off at Cole's Corner. 2 guys in work jackets got off at the gas station. Stop after that. Each time the doors hissed open, I felt a flicker of hope that maybe she'd be the one stepping off. She never moved. Eventually, even the old man got off, mumbling goodnight to the driver. And just like that, it was down to 4 of us on that entire bus. The driver, up front, focused on the road. Me and her. My stop was next. The gravel turnoff just before the interstate, the one everybody in town just calls the Fork. And right as the lights of the gas station up ahead came into view, she stood up. She started walking toward the front, toward my stop. I felt that specific, sick drop in my stomach, the one where your body understands something before your mind catches up. She walked right past me and settled into the fold-down jump seat across from the driver, folding her hands again, watching the road like she was waiting for something. The bus slowed. The doors opened with that long metal sigh. She was off the steps and gone into the dark before I'd even stood up. I practically ran down the aisle. On my way past the driver, I stopped and asked him, probably too loud, too fast, "Hey, did you ever get that woman's ticket? The one who just got off?" He looked at me like I'd started speaking another language. "What woman?" "The one in the green coat. She got off right in front of me, just now." He shook his head slowly. "Buddy, nobody got off this stop but you. You feeling all right?" I stepped down onto the gravel shoulder, and the doors sighed shut behind me, and the bus pulled away. Taillights shrinking down Route 9 until they were just 2 red dots and then nothing. I stood there alone at the Fork. No gas station lights. They must have closed early. No cars. Just the tree line, black and total, and the sound of cicadas working themselves into a frenzy in the ditch grass. I called my younger brother. He usually swung by with the truck when I got in this late, and he said he was 5 minutes out. So I waited on the shoulder, arms crossed against the cold, doing my best not to think about a woman who apparently didn't exist to anyone but me. That's when I heard my name, called out from somewhere behind me, back toward the tree line. I spun around. Nothing but the dark tunnel of the road and the trees pressing in close on either side, branches shifting slightly, though there was no wind that I could feel. I told myself it was nothing. A trick of the cicadas, maybe, or my own nerves playing tricks with sound. Then it came again, closer this time, and it was unmistakably my brother's voice, which made no sense at all, because that road cutting off into the trees behind me didn't lead to our house. It led out past the old grain silo, toward the cemetery on the ridge. My brother had never once in his life walked that way. Something shifted in the black mass of the tree line. Low, deliberate, like something large repositioning itself just out of the light. And then a hand landed on my shoulder from behind. I screamed, genuinely screamed, the kind that scrapes your throat raw, and spun around to find my brother standing there, truck idling behind him, headlights cutting yellow cones through the dark. "Dude, what is wrong with you? I've been honking for like a full minute." I hadn't heard a single horn. I got in that truck so fast I don't think my feet touched the running board. As we pulled out, I made the mistake of glancing back toward the tree line one last time. She was standing at the edge of the trees, green coat, that same wide, unblinking stare, and she was smiling now, really smiling, wide enough that it didn't look natural on a human face, and lifting one hand to wave, slow, almost fond, like she knew exactly when she'd see me again. I told my family everything the second I got home. My mother didn't ask a single question. She just took a handful of dried chili peppers off the kitchen shelf, circled them around my head 3 times, murmuring something under her breath, and threw them straight into the wood stove. They didn't just burn. They shrieked as they caught. A thin, high whistle that no dried pepper should make, and the whole kitchen filled with a smoke so bitter it made my eyes stream. My mother watched the flames a long moment before she finally spoke. "You rode home with something that isn't a person," she said, "and it knows your face now. I haven't taken that late bus since. I drive 20 extra minutes out of my way every single night rather than sit in that depot after dark. But sometimes, maybe once every couple of months, I'll be driving home late, headlights cutting through some empty stretch of Route 9, and I'll pass a lone figure standing at a bus stop that hasn't seen a bus in years. Green coat, waiting. I don't slow down to check if she's smiling. I already know she is.